Welcome to Take a Time Out with Dustin Sullivan, the can-do podcast that brings you a new perspective of people in sports. This is the third season of Dustin hosting his podcast, and we're excited to share his passion for sports with you. In this episode, we continue the interview with Terry Wymer, a well-recognized college basketball referee. Mr. Wymer retired last year after nearly 4 decades on the court. He has officiated 22 straight NCAA tournaments, 11 regionals, 5 Final Fours, and 3 national title games. He has officiated in multiple conferences as well. Terry was acknowledged for his achievements on the court and inducted into the Ohio Basketball Hall of Fame in 2018. Now we're here to give you an inside look at sports from Dustin. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Did you ever throw anyone out of the game?
Oh yes, yes. The student body sometimes gets a lot of control, maybe because they had a few beverages or something before the game, and so that was not uncommon. That if a crew of people were disrespecting players, disrespecting coaches, or disrespecting us, that I'd have them removed. Or at least relocated. If they were near the floor, they had an option. They could put them way up high, or they could remove them from the premise.
The school can get penalties for that stuff too.
Yeah, pretty much. But game management's pretty good.
Yeah.
Game management's pretty good because they know who these characters are, because it's not their first time they acted out of line. And they would even forewarn you, like, hey, you might want to keep an eye on that section here. And if you need us, we're over here. We'll get rid of them.
Because when students used to storm the court, the universities get fined for that.
Yes, they can, because that's what we always identify as officials. The fastest way out if they storm the floor.
It's dangerous.
Because, you get hit pretty good and get hurt. And the same with the visiting team. We got to figure out how we're going to get them off the floor. So in the last minute, when you can see something happening, we get together and we talk to the coaches and the home coach, because you knew it was going to happen. And so that's when they start, what you're talking about, they start fining them for, storming the floor.
I like, in football it's different because they only do that when there's ranked teams.
Yeah, but
it's still dangerous.
But it's still very dangerous.
Do they get in trouble too?
Yeah, conferences have a policy that if this happens at school, they get fined. And
you don't ever see anybody storming the golf course.
No.
Not very often.
Who was your coach? Who was your worst coach to work with?
I hate to say that, Dustin. It's just
it's a scary question. That's why we like to say the favorite or the best.
There's just
when you turn it into a negative.
It's hard to cross that line.
99.9% of the coaches are good people, are good coaches, but you'll get that one, and usually you only have them a few times, because usually after their contract's up, they're not back. So they take care of their own trouble.
Yeah.
We don't have to take care. I mean, we attack them and whatever, maybe have to throw them out of the game, but they take care of themselves. But like I said, 99.9% of the coaches in college basketball are excellent individuals, and you can't fault them for wanting to win and work hard. And, because you got to admit, Dustin, they're all biased.
Yeah,
they should be biased,
They want to win.
Kevin was mentioning to me yesterday about how you have trouble even if you talk to one coach
don't talk to the other.
The other gets offended and thinking you're like planning stuff out.
So if you have a coach down here who has a very calm demeanor, and this coach down here, he's up and down the floor, animated, that doesn't work out very well either, because they think he's gaining an advantage. Or I can tell you, coaches, if you talk to this coach, you better talk to the other coach.
Right.
Jim Boeheim's a great guy.
Yeah.
He's an interesting guy.
Yeah.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Yes, he is.
Who is that?
He's
Coach at Syracuse, just retired.
Oh,
just
okay.
retired.
He coached one of the best basketball players at Syracuse, Carmelo Anthony.
Yep, and I met Carmelo. I see Carmelo every summer, typically at basketball camps that we put on.
Sometimes it's hard to keep up with Dustin.
Carmelo's I've seen him. He seems like a pretty good guy.
He's done a lot for the community, from my understanding, and he gives back, to the Syracuse people, and
That's great.
and all over basically. And I'd say a lot of those high-profile athletes, not only in basketball,
Yeah.
they give back to the community as much as possible.
They're great guys.
Yes, they are.
You don't see behind the scenes.
That's exactly. Most of them want to stay quiet too. They don't want to know
Yeah.
how they're helping people. They don't want that
Out
out
there.
there. Yeah,
Can't blame them. What is your most memorable game you've officiated?
it'd be the Villanova, North Carolina game, the
That was-
Jenkins shot. Yeah, because there was 4.4 seconds left, and they had to go the whole length of the floor. And honestly, Dustin, I thought we were going to go overtime. I'm thinking who could make his shot.
It was a crazy
And
shot.
then when they came back and the guard flipped it back to Jenkins, and I was underneath the basket, I knew it was going to go in just on his release. But that was a special game, and
Yeah.
a lot of people watching that game. Viewership is
Oh,
big.
yeah.
The most interesting rule in basketball is now when you lean on a player and they get called for that over the back.
Yeah,
That's
there's a lot of calls. Just did they gain an advantage? How physical does the game get? Things like that. Yeah.
So what makes you determine if it's going to be a foul or not? How do you determine that?
Well, if it's physical, one,
Yeah.
and if they gain an advantage. So if I
Yeah.
jump over your back and get the ball, that's a foul.
So how difficult was it, like, determining a flagrant or not a flagrant?
For me, after you officiate so many years,
Yeah.
you are automatically know.
Yeah.
That's through years of experience. But we still go to, a lot of the guys rely on the monitor to go and they'll call the foul there, then they can upgrade, to a flagrant 2 if they want, and remove the player if needed.
It kind of upsets you when players get too physical sometimes.
Well, typically the players that get physical and flagrant 2s are the lesser athletes.
Yeah,
so
that's
Dustin,
true.
say like you're a great athlete, you can't afford to have you get hurt.
I never thought about it that way.
And so maybe somebody who can, it doesn't matter if they foul out or not, they come in and they foul a lot. And we just make sure that the athletes do not get hurt. They always talk about in the Big Ten, we have the most physical conference in America. That may be, but it's not a rough conference.
Yeah.
Once it turns into roughness, that's when the fouls are called.
I like the Big Ten because it's a slow pace, more like,
Yeah, it's a half-court set game. So, and it's the toughest league to officiate because of the talent and the coaches.
Yeah.
I would tell you, like the SEC, they have excellent athletes, and they run down the floor, but they shoot the ball, and then they run to the other end.
That's true.
The Big 12, very similar, but they get the ball inside too. So each conference has a different set. Out west, they play, and it's more spread out.
Yeah.
And it's less physical.
I feel like the Big Ten is one of the most competitive conferences.
Oh yeah.
Most hardest one to
I
win.
think they're all competitive.
Yeah, it's good to
At
be
that
competitive.
level, that level, they're all.
Anybody can beat anybody on any given day.
Yep, that's why they play the game, Dustin.
Yep.
I think I changed that. So
Which one?
Right
How
here.
many children do you have?
I have 3 children. Luke is, Luke's going to be 34. He's 34. Married, lives locally outside of North Baltimore. Has 2. I have 2 grandchildren, boy and girl, and he has his own business. My son Eric, soon to be 30. He is actually the head cross-country coach.
That's cool.
And distance track coach at the University of Findlay. And he's been married a year, July, and my daughter, who's 25, is the head of environmental safety, occupational hazard at Whirlpool Corporation.
That's cool.
So I'm very blessed because all my family's around. So Sunday's always important at our house because typically everybody comes over for dinner and we get to have family time. That's very important.
Maybe
to
I'm
me.
going to have to get your son to do the track interview.
There you go. There you go.
And one of your boys, maybe it was it, went
Yeah.
with one of our clients, Matthew LaFontaine, went to school with him, maybe.
And Van
I think he
Buren.
was.
Oh, Van Buren,
mentioning-
yeah, because that's where Eric went.
Yeah.
Because Lucas went to North Baltimore, because we live
Okay.
right within a stone's throw of North Baltimore High School, a new one. And then Rachel and Eric wanted to, they offered soccer, which they didn't offer over there. They had Glee Club or whatever, musical, and they just had different opportunities. So they went to Van Buren, which Van Buren's only 5 miles from our
Right.
house, 4 miles, very
Right.
close. And we, in very similar communities, we knew everybody over there, so it worked out for them. As they went K through 8 to St. Michael
Yeah.
here,
okay.
so they started here, then they could go
Yeah.
wherever they wanted to with open enrollment if they so desire.
Right.
Lucas, our oldest, went to North Baltimore because he had a lot of Little League friends and things like that. And then Eric and Rachel went to Van Buren.
How did you and Mike Babcock ever know each other? How did you ever?
Just once again through sports and everything,
He's
you
a
know.
great
yeah,
guy.
Yeah, good person.
He was a good announcer.
Yep.
Did your family get the chance to travel with you all over the states
So
while you were officiating?
yeah, so here's how that worked, Dustin. Because my commitment up first in the morning, my family doesn't like to get up
Yeah.
4:30 to catch a flight. You know,
Right.
so to stay up with my schedule, which after a while you become immune to it, and it just happens for myself. I worked the Maui Invitational
That's sweet.
8 times. So I would.
They wanted to go to that one.
So every time, the term was only 3 days, but we'd go for a week,
Nice.
and so they would all go to that,
That's
and
sweet.
then typically after the tournament, I would go back to Anaheim for a tournament over to Portland, and either Teresa would stay with me or Eric would stay. Everybody else would go back to work and things. So they got the chance to travel. So in the tournament times, so for the semifinal games in 13, Rachel, my daughter, and my wife Teresa went to that. The next year was in Dallas. Eric and Luke went to that, and then the Final Fours, they all went to the Final Fours.
Yeah.
What was it like doing the Maui Invitational being in Hawaii?
Well, I'm very saddened by what has just taken place with
Yeah, I
the
am too.
fire.
That's a sad-
It was paradise. It was the most beautiful place I've ever been in my life, and my wife loved it, and we liked going there. And we went so many times that we have some Hawaiian friends.
That's cool.
As a matter of fact, I touched base with one of them up in the North Country, and they didn't get affected by the fire, so we had a good conversation the other day. The table crew, the scorekeepers, helped us with transportation and everything. They live on the Big Island, so I touched base with them, make sure they're okay. But it's heartbreaking to see what has happened with that community. That history cannot be rebuilt. The banyan tree, I'm sure you've seen the banyan tree. That was the center of the town, but and the Hawaiian people were very receptive and very friendly, kind people.
They have cool stuff to do there.
Oh yeah,
That's one of your dream places.
I've always wanted to live
yeah.
there.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
How many games did you officiate total in 1 year?
The most I ever worked was like 95,
Wow.
but
that's a
I
lot.
usually averaged about 70, between 70 and 80, somewhere in there.
You probably had to drink a lot of coffee to keep yourself going.
Don't drink coffee.
How did you keep yourself going all those games?
I drink. I have an energy drink. I drink, every morning. Keep going. But the 5 hour stuff and that stuff, I don't like that. I drink Advocare products. It's more healthy. I think my former
Smart.
coach here could tell me what's good, what's bad on it. Drink those energy drinks because I think people become addicted. And it's just
That's
too much
true.
caffeine.
So does the officiates like the NCAA pay for the hotels and stuff, or you got to do that?
Well, the way it works in college before the NCAA is we get paid one check,
Oh, you do?
and it's however you get there.
Oh.
Your food's out of it, your hotel's out of it, your car's out of it, your flight's out of it, okay? But what I was blessed was where we live here in Ohio,
Yeah.
I can drive to most Big Ten schools.
That's true. I never thought about that.
Yeah, so that was pretty good. But the NCAA, they give you a check and they take care of your hotel.
That's awesome.
That's what they do there, so.
So the NCAA is better than people think they are. They're not that bad like people think.
I wouldn't say that, but no,
Certain
they're good. They're good to work with. There's a lot of good people there.
What did you do during the off season?
I always had a job because I was always worried about I'd blow my knee out or my ankle and then basketball would be over and I wouldn't have a profession.
That's true.
So I've had a pretty interesting career because the last 13 years I owned a Service Master franchise, cleaning, carpets, janitorial, and my son Luke now owns it. It's Wymer's Restoration and Cleaning. We got rid of the franchise, but he runs all that now. And then I was actually a funeral director for 10 years with Colden Creek's Funeral Home here.
I know that. That's a good.
And I was probably it didn't pay a lot of money. It was probably the best job I ever had in my life because of the fact that I was helping people.
That's
and,
a great
that
thing.
That was good. Then I did spend 10 years as a vice president of a bank for mortgage lending. So those are really three of the prominent jobs I had. So as I got aged, so to speak.
It's cool hearing all the stories that officials and coaches and all them have to tell you.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool stuff.
Yep. And
What is your favorite basketball arena?
Madison Square Garden.
I would have to agree with you on that one.
I like the Garden not only because of the games, but that's right in the heart of New York City. And there's been so many sporting events, Muhammad Ali fighting, a lot of fights in there, Billy Joel concerts. I mean, a lot of performers have been through there. I'd say there, and then, Duke is pretty neat just because it's quiet, just because the people are on top of you. We got some great, in the Big Ten, we have great venues. Because
Value City Arena.
when you look at Purdue, it's like you're in a little bowl, and in every Value City, Purdue, Michigan State, they're all loud. Illinois, but all those arenas they have their own. If you go to Minnesota, you got the Barn.
That's a hockey arena.
Yeah, next door they just built a new hockey arena.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But it's elevated floor and it's old. So everybody has their own neat features in it.
I think the one of the best in Big Ten to me is probably Indiana's.
Indiana, yep, a lot of tradition. Yes.
Got one of the greatest coaches, Indiana.
Yep.
Bobby Knight.
Coach Knight, yes, yep. He was one of the best.
All I know about him is throwing chairs.
Well,
right?
it's too bad that's all that we remember.
That's horrible, but I mean that's.
It was his antics, but he was a heck of a coach, and his health is failing currently.
Yeah.
I talked to some fellows in Indiana who talked to him weekly, and but his health is failing.
It's sad.
Yep.
Great legend. Do you have a favorite NBA and NCAA team?
No, I really don't. I don't watch a whole lot of NBA. I'll watch it to watch the officials because I know a few of those officials. I'll watch them just for a short time. The games itself, it's just completely different from the NCAA. And in NCAA, I'm so involved in it, and I just don't have a favorite team. I live in Ohio. Ohio is great, but Michigan's. I actually live closer to Michigan, U of M.
You do?
Yeah, than Michigan State's. But like I said, they're all great teams, and nor would I pick one out to be my favorite.
What do you like? What football teams do you like?
Football, it's about the same as basketball. I watch the Big Ten, right, and cheer for Big Ten, but I don't have any favorites.
Baseball is probably my favorite because the Big Red Machine.
Oh yeah, well they're playing much better this year. They have that the good shortstop this year. He's phenomenal. But you mean you don't like the Indians or Guardians and the Tigers?
Well, I kind of like Tigers too.
Yeah, Tigers my team.
My uncle was a big Al Kaline fan. Growing
Oh
up.
yeah, I met Mr. Kaline. Yeah,
Great guy.
yeah,
I've heard.
he was fantastic.
I hope you don't have somewhere to be because this is probably one of our longest interviews right now.
Just heading.
Because we just hit on number 2 in the double trivia day.
Uh-oh.
This has multiple answers to it, like there's questions. But the second trivia question is, Ohio is the only state to have 2 teams play in the NCAA championship game. When was it?
Oh, I see. When was it? The two Ohio teams?
2 Ohio teams.
Well, it has to be Ohio State and Cincinnati, probably.
That's correct. That's
in
who,
61 or 60?
It was 61. And who won?
Cincinnati?
Yep. Cincinnati beat the Buckeyes in overtime 70-65.
Yeah.
So, yep, the only time that there have been 2 teams
Yeah.
from one state in the championship.
Maybe someday Reds and Guardians will play in the World Series.
That'd be great to see.
I'd go to that. After 38 years as a basketball referee, what made you decide to call it quits?
Well, I got offered a position with the Big Ten, the coordinator of officials, to oversee all the basketball officiating. At that time, I was 62,
Yeah.
and Kevin Lewis can only keep this body together for so long. And so, but there's only 5 of these positions in what they call the Power 5.
Yeah.
You know, the Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, ACC, and Pac-12. So there's only 5 of these positions, and they don't open up very often. So I thought if it was now or never, if I didn't take the position, I would get the position. And because if I didn't get the position, I'd have came back for 2 more years and then called it quits. But with this position, so now I oversee all the basketball officiating for the Big Ten. And then I'm the executive director of the Big Ten, the MAC, the Summit, and the Horizon. So I oversee all of those.
That's
and I
sweet.
have 2 individuals that work for me that help me with the signing and things.
That's awesome. I would love to do
How'd
that.
you like your first year doing it?
Very challenging.
Yeah.
Very challenging because it's just completely different. Where I said before I was in charge of myself.
Right.
Now I'm in charge of 141 guys and all these coaches. So I'm the mediator, you know. But it was a good first year overall.
A
Good.
lot
It'll
of
be
people.
better this year because the second year, the third year will be really good. Really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
What do you?
Where are we?
What are you doing with your time now that you are not traveling at all over the country?
Well, I'm probably busier now than I ever was because after basketball season, I'd shut it down. We'd take
Yeah.
a nice vacation and just rehab, get my body back in shape. Well, now in my house, I have a media center, so I can watch 6 games at a time. I got my memorabilia and all this up in my room. So typically in the morning, I get my energy drink, my Advocare. I go to my room, I go up to my office, check my emails. I get on the basketball sites, and then I field a lot of calls, whether it's Coach Izzo calling or Coach Underwood or whoever calling, Hoiberg from Nebraska, communicating with them. Currently, I'm getting ready to schedule. I have a meeting at the end of the month with the commissioner of the Big Ten to talk about the upcoming season. And then I will go visit every school in the Big Ten.
That's sweet.
Before tip. So I have to go put on a clinic. So I go to their basketball practice and I watch practice, speak to the team about rules, new rules, whatever, and then get to know the coaches more and more. So I'll do 14 visits. Last year I did 14 visits in 19 days, which was a little much.
Yeah.
So, but now I'll break it up and
It'd be cool to go to all the Big Ten games because you could go try each famous place, restaurants.
Oh
in
yeah,
each-
yeah.
He's big on restaurants
That's
too.
good.
If it's not about sports, it's about food.
That's good because that's one thing that has allowed me. I've met a lot of famous people, a lot of good people. Ate at some of the best restaurants that normally I would not have eaten at.
Yeah.
So I've been very blessed on that. So
There's a lot of cool things that officials do that you don't know about.
that's right. Yep, that's for sure.
They're one of the most important people.
Yep, well, I think so.
You've mentioned Avocare twice now, so you got to mention the energy drink because I know Spark, but
That's what I drink is
Okay,
Spark and,
yeah.
and a hydration.
yeah.
So usually I put it in a shaker every morning,
Okay.
and that's what I
Okay.
drink. And
Maybe I need to go back to that. I used to do it.
well, it's not. It gets costly,
It
but it's been
does.
very beneficial for me.
Yeah.
That drink. So I mix it every morning, and I like a smoothie now too. I try to stay, fresh fruits, yogurts, stuff like that. Try to stay away, even though fruits have sugars in it, but I don't put any additive sugars.
Have you ever put your Spark in the smoothie?
No, I haven't
No,
tried that.
that would
no.
be something
Yeah.
to try.
Yeah.
I always try to stay away from caffeine as much as I can.
Yeah. Yep.
If
No.
you can live anywhere now that you're retired, where do you call home?
North Baltimore. It's That's where I was born and raised, went to school there, kindergarten, where I met my wife, where my family were raised. People were great there. But no, that's home, and I doubt it. People ask if we're going to move to Florida. I have no interest in moving to Florida. There may be a winter home in South Carolina where some friends live down there, but that'll always be the home.
You've traveled so many places in that I'm sure just that feeling of getting back to home is so much stronger for you too.
Well, it's like vacations. Everybody's happy to go on vacation, but you're happy to get back home.
Right.
Because everything's expensive when you go vacation.
Yep.
Are you ready to be a referee in football and an umpire in baseball now?
No shot. First off, Brandon,
we had to throw that in there.
First off, Dustin, I'm too old for that, and but I do know several, football officials and baseball umpires, and they have challenges just like basketball officials.
That's true.
Our game's a little bit faster, though.
You're right.
Yes, you are.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
This may sound crazy, but just to help others out.
That's
the
a good
needy.
one.
Like, I don't play the Powerball or Mega Ball because I don't.
Oh my gosh, that's going into our next question.
But if I saw it was like billions of dollars.
Yeah.
People donate to the Hawaiians or donate to North Baltimore, help them survive. Just streets, just simple things, but help people out. But not let them know where the funds came from to help them, just helping people out, because our society's a lot of, like you said, the cost of things.
Yeah.
You can't go to the grocery store without paying $100. There's a lot of families that just aren't as lucky as my family has been.
I love
just to help others out.
I love to help people too.
Yeah.
It's a great thing.
I've never seen somebody combine two questions like that, but our first one was, if you could have one superpower, what would it be? And then the next one was, if you won the lottery, what would you do with the money? And there you go, you answered.
I could also go back to that because today in our society, people just give their family money, which is the way it should be. But I would have a trust.
Right.
And if my kids would get X amount of dollars, but they couldn't draw X amount of dollars unless they were working. So if they thought they would sit at home and draw money, is wrong. The trust would read, Dustin would have to have a job in order to get this money. I think it just creates bad habits that I know a lot of wealthy people that give everything to their kids, and it doesn't turn out because they spend it on the wrong things.
Right.
So.
If I won the lottery, I'd give some of the money to people for muscular dystrophy.
Yep.
To find a cure.
Oh yeah. Yep. That's right. We just ran a basketball camp in Memphis where people try out to get into Big Ten, our consortium, and we donated to St. Jude's.
It's great to help people get better.
Because that's in Memphis, and that's St. Jude's, and Danny Thomas from being in Toledo, Ohio, and so
great stuff.
We made a big donation there.
Now for the famous final question: do you consider a hot dog a sandwich?
Yes, it's one of my favorite sandwiches. I love hot dogs.
You can put anything on a hot dog.
You can run it through the garden, and you can do everything. And I guess the new I just saw it on TV last night. I've driven by it several times. The old A&W, which is now Miller's Meats or whatever. They had it on Channel 13 last night, and they have the Spanish hot dog, which I'd eaten there.
Was that last night? Because I just went last night.
Yeah,
so
it was
that's
on
pretty crazy.
last night. They showed it last night, so I don't know when it was. But so I'm going to tell you a quick story about hot dogs. So I worked at Akron University, late night game, and didn't get any food after the game. So coming on a turnpike, coming home, it's late, and I'm starving. So I stopped at a rest area, a gas station, whatever, and I call them roller dogs, the hot dogs on the rollers.
Yes.
So I got 2 of those, which was a very costly investment. Because I got home, felt good. Next night, didn't feel so good, and I got food poisoning from the hot dog.
Oh, no.
So I missed working the Ohio State and Michigan basketball
That would have
game
been cool.
the next day. So I had to call my supervisor, hey, I got food poisoning. So I lost. That was the most expensive hot dogs I've ever had in my life. Because I lost a check because I got food poisoning from the hot dogs, but it didn't deter me. Still love Tony Pacos.
My favorite hot dogs.
You just stay away from the roller dogs in a gas.
Yes.
I'm not going to eat those anymore.
No, I haven't had one either, nor will I.
The best hot dogs, I love Skyline chili dogs.
Skyline chili. Those are delicious. Yep.
Okay, well, we got to wrap this up. I think we've been here for quite a while. So thank you for taking a time out with Dustin Sullivan today. It was interesting getting to know you.
Nice.
We hope everyone enjoyed getting to know a little bit about you, too.
And that's all, folks. Eat.
Thank you for joining today's podcast of Take a Time Out with Dustin Sullivan, a production of Can Do Group. This podcast is made possible by the support of local businesses and community members like you. Thank you. Do you have a sports story to share that is linked to Ohio in some way? Do you know somebody in sports, whether it's a backyard hero, behind-the-scenes guru, or a superstar like Dustin's dream guest, LeBron James? If so, please give us a call at 419-425-2638. Thank you for listening, and